Olin and Jan by way of marriage. And I have a public service announcement, first of all. And if there are problems with the AV, this is not my fault. So please direct all your attention to that woman right there. She said she will take all the blame. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Thank you. The public service announcement is the food is still out there, but you should get it now. Olin says that at some point soon it will be taken up, and then dessert will be served. And so as a result, the time is right for you now to finish off your food. But at this point, we're going to start off with our festivities.
Drinks are still flowing.
Drinks are still flowing, yes, that's very important. Everybody keep understanding that. But we're going to start off with our festivities. But before we start, I wanted to say something to the roughly 36 people in the room here tonight. We've all come from near and from far. People have come from very far away, and of course, from across the street. But we all have one thing in common. We all love Jan Akers. So let's start off our evening with that. All of us. Jan, I really hope, I'm sure that this evening means a lot to you, but in all seriousness, you've got a room full of people who love you to death, who would just do anything for you, and they are here to celebrate you. Not the least of which is the gentleman sitting to your right. Who, by the way, who has tons of faults, and we can all agree that Olin has lots of faults. Which I may mention a few times tonight, boy does he love his wife. And I'll be talking about that. No timeouts are allowed. So the clock is continuing to run, so no timeouts. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a handful of speakers, each speak for roughly, hello. Capitol Grill, hello. Roughly for 3 minutes, and our leadoff batter tonight is Stu Johnson. Stu's got a few words that he's going to say. It wasn't. Let's try it again. Stu's going to start us off. We have a good lineup of people who are going to be giving some thoughts, but Stu is the best person to lead us off. So please give a round of applause to Stu Johnson.
For those of you who were here last year for the celebration of Olin's 90th birthday. What?
Was that right?
95th. 95th.
It had to be 90 or 95. No one's looked that old and decrepit and still be in their 80s. But tonight is not about Olin, it's about Jan. I think I said then, and I'll say again, that the first time we met Jan, she had just moved to Washington, and we were invited to dinner with our two little rugrats. They were both probably 5 and 7 at the time. And from that night on, the Akers were just part of their family. Through the years, almost 50 years now, they were
The mic closer.
they were at birthdays, they were at graduations, they were at holidays, football games, in high school, college football games, the beach house. They were just always part of our life. And so when I told Kelly about a year ago, we were together, and they were both in the mid-50s, that why don't you just call them Olin and Jan? I mean, you're in your 50s. She looked at me, she says, Dad, that would be disrespectful. She says, they will always be Mr. and Mrs. Akers. And that's the respect that they claim. So the only formal part of tonight is when I told Kelly I was coming down here for the 80th birthday, she says, I have got to write a note. Now, I could read this under good light. I'm going to just try to. But here it is. Happy 80th birthday, Mrs. Akers. You are an amazing person who has made a huge impact on everyone. Honored to know you. You've touched so many lives, and we are so lucky that you've been a part of our family for so long. You are one of Mom's best friends, and like a second mom to Rob and me. I remember all the Christmas dinners in Washington spent with you and Mr. Akers when we were growing up. They are some of my favorite memories. My wish for you on your 80th birthday is that you're blessed with continued love, health, and happiness for many years to come. And may your day be filled with all the things you love, like good food, good friends, and good wine. She says, I can't,
Not in that order.
she says, I can't take credit for writing this poem, but I thought it was special. Happy, happy birthday, love Kelly, and we'll throw Rob in there too. And so she must have found this on ChatGPT. But I do believe it's appropriate. It reads, if I can read it, 80 years of laughter, tears, a journey filled with love and cheers. Through every step, both big and small, you've shown us strength and to stand so tall. Wisdom gained with every year, a heart that's kind, a soul sincere. 80 years of shining bright, a life well lived, a guiding light. Here's to memories old and new, and all the joy that's still in view. 80 years, a treasured time, filled with love and life's sweet rhyme. Glasses prepared. Now, most of you know that over the last millennium, Olin and Jan and my wife Nancy and myself traveled a lot. We've been all over the world, the Canadian Northwest, Hawaii, Europe. And in all these travels, you get to really know somebody. And what I found enduring about Jan is she will do anything to ensure your happiness when you're traveling with her. But Olin, notwithstanding, he also wants to ensure your happiness, but there's $1 attached to it. And I think I can best illustrate this by just briefly, very briefly, explaining one of our trips. We decided to go to Ireland and do an auto tour, 14-day auto tour. And in the 90s, the technology was really pretty great. You sent away, you got cassettes and guidebooks, and every morning you would reset your cassette, and it would take you on the day's journey, giving you the Irish history, the landmarks. And what was so nice about it, as you're approaching your destination that night, it would give you recommendations for housing and for food. And inevitably, at the end of all the recommendations, the voice would say, and for the worth the extra money. And when Olin heard those 4 words, he collapsed. And Jan and Nancy in the back seat were calling all the shots about the restaurants and the hotels. And Olin's trying to get us to stay at a bed and breakfast because it was about 1/5 the cost of it. I'm going to speed this up because it does get funny. And so we find one town that is just, there's nothing to recommend it. So Olin says, let's stay in a bed and breakfast. And we said, okay, let him have his way. So he gets in the guidebook, we find this bed and breakfast. It's a very nice farmhouse. We book the room, we unload our bags on the porch and go into town to dinner. When we come back, our bags are still on the front porch. The proprietor comes out and says, well, you're the big guy, you get my daughter's room, and you, Nancy and me, you get my son's room. We took the bags back to the son's room. It had a single bed in it. I mean, a small single bed. Once we got the bags in the room, you couldn't get in and out. So, needless to say, it was a rather sleepless night. Halfway through the night, I had to get up to go to the bathroom, and there's nothing on anywhere. I see a light way at the end of the hall. I go down there, the door's locked, and you hear this, occupied, laddie, occupied. I said, uh-oh. And so, but I thought it was worth sticking around, so I stayed for a while. The door finally opens, and I try to go in. He says, Laddie, I wouldn't go in there right now. It's pretty pungent. And so, I'm not making any of this up. The next morning, we got up and went down to breakfast, and breakfast was, at best, well, this was a farmhouse, okay? And I'm sure it was on its way to the hog slop, and they stopped it to serve us with it. Nancy and Jan could not eat any of theirs. I could not eat any of mine, but all of them, because they were free. So we're loading the car to leave, and even for Olin, he was very sheepish. He wasn't saying a thing, and he knew that the ladies were irritated. Now, the next day, our tour included Dromoyne Castle, and we expected just to tour the castle because it was so damn expensive, even I didn't want to stay there. But as we get in the car, the 2 ladies in the back seat said, Olin, we're staying at Dromoyne Castle tonight. Well, you could just see his face fall. But when we got to Dromoyne Castle, it's actually one of the most beautiful buildings in Ireland. And our tour was wonderful. We had the most beautiful rooms where you could get cleaned up and actually feel like you were civilized again. And we had one of the best dinners. It's still one of the best rack of lambs I've ever had.
Yeah.
So we're starting to feel relatively good. And our waiter comes through and he says, well, you should go down to the cabaret underneath. There is a singer tonight. There's a point to this. And so we go down, and there's this lovely young Irish teenage girl with a melodious voice singing. She was accompanied by a lady on the piano, obviously her mother. And in the cabaret were 3 tables. One had 2 drunk British businessmen. The other had 3 drunk German businessmen, and then the 4 of us.
But not drunk.
Halfway, not drunk yet, but halfway through the set, the Germans stood up and then started to walk towards the stage. And they were going to get up, they wanted to sing with the young girl. Well, maybe in Germany that's, a custom, but the lady, the pianist, her mother, panicked, and she looked right at Jan as if to say, do something. Jan takes the bit in her mouth. She says, Owen, Jan, do something. Uncle Owen said, what the hell are we going to do? And about the time we were trying to figure it out, the 2 drunk British guys, I'm not kidding, stand up and say, hey, Yanks, we kicked their arse one time. Do you think we can do it again? So now the 4 of us are standing, and the Germans realized their faux pas. And so they apologized profusely, came back and sat down. And I thought, this instance epitomizes Jan. Whether you're a longtime friend or somebody she doesn't even know, if she feels somebody has been wronged, excuse me, she's going to take up their cause. And that's why we all love you, Jan.
Thank you, Stu. How about a round of applause again for Stu on that story?
Thanks for giving me that follower.
Our next speaker is Emily Lewis, who's going to be telling us about her affection for Jan. But Emily actually told me a story that I thought was actually really interesting about marital advice. So this is actually for the men in the room here, as it would relate to your current wives, and it's really great advice from Olin. Emily told me that in the 1970s, Jan was living in California, and Olin is living here, and they're really dating and having a wonderful time, but they live 3,000 miles apart. And there were lots and lots of parties that were taking place here in Atlanta. And Olin would say, I think this is a great idea. Let me put the party on speakerphone. All Jan in California. And how many women don't love to hear their boyfriend or fiance on a party from 3,000 miles away? That's brilliant. I never thought of that with my wife. And she's giving me like, no, don't do that. But it worked for Olin. They've been married for 42 years in bliss. I think it's great advice, Olin. I tip my cap to you. Great marital advice. Every woman wants to hear her boyfriend on a party from 3,000 miles away. So with that, Emily, would you come say a couple of words on behalf of Jan? Give it up for Emily, please.
That was actually one of my better stories.
Oh, I'm sorry. Get more detail.
We did have a lot of fun. We did. Yeah. Well, I have known Jan and Olin probably for the large majority of my life, as Jan reminds me occasionally.
You're still younger.
And I'll always be younger.
And you'll always be younger.
But we have had a lot of fun adventures, and especially over the last few years, I think we've just had a good time. And we spend quite a bit of time together, and because I am second mom to their dog Muffin.
You could be first mom too.
And also, she's second mom to my dog Addie, so it works just as well. But the story I want to tell is actually how Muffin came to live in Brook Farm and won the lottery, as I call it. 4.5 years ago, we both had lost our dogs, or I was getting ready to lose my dog, And we decided we wanted puppies. Great idea, right? And so we were looking and, you know, we had a couple of setbacks, and then we decided, I found a dog in Florida, and Jan was still looking for her dog, and so as I was coming back from Hilton Head, Jan calls me on the phone and she says, I found a dog. I'm like, okay. She goes, you gotta pick it up. It's in Griffin, Georgia. So I said, okay. You know, so we're coming back, and a friend of mine and I are driving back, feverishly trying to find enough cash to give this man who would only take cash for the dog. So 3 ATMs later, in Macon, Georgia, we had enough cash to give this man. So I said, okay, where's the dog? She goes, it's at a truck stop off of 75. And I'm like, okay, really? So sure enough, we pull into the parking lot, and this guy pulls up behind us, gets out with this cute little ball of fur. Right, and so she's like, Jan's like, make sure it has 4 legs, and so I did, and he handed it to me, and it was just the sweetest and nicest dog in the world. So we're FaceTiming. Then I'm FaceTiming Ellen and Jan. I've got, here's the dog. What do you think? And Jan, of course, is like, of course, bring it. Yeah. And so I hand this guy a wad of $20 bills, right? Because that's all you can get out of an ATM. And so I hand him this wad of money, and I said, do you want to count it? And he goes, nope, I'm good. So I hand him a wad of cash. He hands me a dog, and therefore Muffin rode in my lap the entire time, and she really is my dog. But she loves her mom, and so do we, and I love you guys.
Thing for the men in the room tonight, that in particular will, I'm gonna say be clean, that will upset you. Today I'm with Olin and Jan, and for her birthday, Olin pulls out, oh, Jan, I've got a present for you. Now, he's doing this right in front of my wife. Olin, presents for your wife can be done in private. They don't need to be done in public in front of other people. So Olin pulls out this box, it's got a ribbon on it, and I'm like, I don't like the look of this. I see my wife's eyes get bigger and bigger. I'm not saying all women will compare, but some women will compare, you know, certain gifts that other women get. And Jan is all excited, and she opens his box, and it's this beautiful citron necklace. It's gorgeous. He spent a lot of money on it, and I can see my wife, and she's like, oh, Owen obviously loves Jan more than you love me. Now, she didn't say that, but that was the look in her eyes. So, Owen, thanks a lot, pal. Thanks for doing that in front of me as opposed to in private, where it actually would have worked out better for everybody. So, with that said, Olin and Jan have some beloved friends, Judy and Dale, who both want to come up and say a few words for you. Judy and Dale, would you please come on up and say a few words for Olin? Please give it up for Judy and Dale.
You know what? Last night we were with Jan.
We can't hear you, honey.
And
That's good.
the-
That's good.
you have to have it up, yeah, right. Anyhow, Olin said he got the gift. Should I give it to Jan tonight? And we said, is it Browning Company? And he said, no, Costco. So, this is a big surprise. Yeah, I love it.
Me
I
too.
love it, yeah. Anyhow, we moved back to Atlanta after living here in the 80s, in 97, I think, somewhere in there. And we moved on Littlebrook Drive, and Jan and Olin were on Brooklake Drive. And Jan and I met, and we got involved in a couple two, but a couple organizations. But Jan and I, and we were friends, but we just didn't, I don't think, hit it off right away. But, we were friends forever, and we lived on Littlebrook for 5 years. Then we moved around the corner after Dale retired, and we needed a bigger house. He was going to be home more often. So, anyhow, we moved across the street from Jan and Olin. And that's when our friendship really started. Jan and I have just become sisters over the years, truly. And she is just the bestest friend ever. So I love her dearly. And I'm not a great speaker, so I came up with a poem. So, yeah. I didn't write it. I had to look for it. Okay.
Judy, why are you handing me this?
I can't hold the paper.
Oh,
I can't read it.
Oh.
okay.
Yeah, so you have to tell me.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
know these problems.
here we go.
You do?
I might cry, so. Okay, best friend. You are my best friend. You belong in my heart. We go through ups and downs, but still nothing can tear us apart. I know you as a sister, and I will always care. Love, respect, and trust are the things we share. I know you as a person. I especially know you as a friend. Our friendship is something we will never end. Right now, this second, this minute, this day, our sisterhood is here to stay. My friendship with you is special and true. When we are together, we stick like glue. True. When I'm in the darkness that needs some light, when you're by my side, I know things are all right. Our friendship is so strong, it breaks down no bars. Our friendship is also bright, like the sun and the stars. If we were in competition for friendship, we would get a gold, because responsibility and cleverness are the keys we hold. I met you as a stranger, took you as a friend. I hope our long friendship will never end. Our friendship is like a magnet. It pulls us together, because no matter where we are, our friendship will last forever. And that is wherever we are, because now we're 12 miles apart. But it's the same. So just what it is. Love you. No, we're not done.
Oh, no. Dale has the microphone.
Yeah, wrote that other one.
Scary.
Judy, I think Rick gave us 4 minutes to speak. And we're pushing beyond that right now, and I'm usually lost for words, and I have very little to say. But if you'll give me another 10 minutes, Rick. No, really, I really think that Judy said it well in this little speech she made here. Their love and friendship is really something to behold, and Olin and I get to see on the sideline. He and I aren't that close. We love each other, but we don't talk about it.
No romance there.
And, the fact that we came in here tonight and I saw all that wine in the back of the room, I thought, there's not enough for the rest of them. Judy and Jan being here. But anyway, it's been a great evening.
On vacation.
Jan,
I just add a few notes to Judy's comments. You were one of the most very special persons I've ever met. And for us to have moved in, we didn't know this at the time necessarily, that we were moving into somebody as special as Jen and Olin next door. But it's turned out to be just fabulous. And one of the things I learned about Jan is, I mean, she's a cook. She can cook food like you wouldn't believe. And I think everybody here knows that. And I just can't say enough about the number of times that she's made green beans and potatoes for me. Because I just happen to have this thing about green beans and potatoes, and she'll just call me up and say, Dale, I got green beans and potatoes for you today. Oh, thank you, Jan. I couldn't possibly, but bring them over. But it's just very, very, very special. I always think of Jan. I must admit, this is a little bit of a side note, but I always think of Jan and Dolly Parton as being the same. And really, think about this for a minute. Think about this for a minute. Work with me.
I'm thinking about it.
Because first of all, you know, they are both kind of short in stature. I don't know if you know, Dolly Parton is not very tall, neither is Jan. The second thing, I'm trying to think of the second thing. They both have blonde hair. And you probably all noticed that. And then there's one other thing that I really find that the two have in common. They have a very, very big, beautiful heart. You didn't think that's where I was going. But they do. And Jan, she has a heart of gold that as a neighbor, has been something to behold. Judy and I have had more dinners with Jan and Olin than you can even imagine. And all we do is just show up. You know, if Judy hadn't cooked something, I'd say, let's go over and see Jan and Olin. And no matter whether she had this planned or anything else, we walk over there and I don't mean we do this intentionally, but we walk over and say hello, and the next thing you know, Jan's saying, hey guys, stay for dinner. And she's just got a heart of absolute gold, as Judy has mentioned here, and I can't say it, I can't agree more. And you know, now I can't figure out Olin. Jan, I know you like Ole Miss, but I am sick of Ole Miss. Living next door is really tough if you live next to a guy from Ole Miss. But nonetheless, they are two of the most beautiful people that I think Judy and I have ever met in our lives. And it's a tough thing when we moved into that neighborhood, and it turned out to be gold. It was just wonderful to be with them and spend so much time with them over the years. And we've moved away a little bit from where they are. We're only 12 miles away. We still come down there and we still get some free meals. Helps us pay the bills and that kind of thing. But they really are. They're very, very special, and God bless you. And thanks a million for absolutely everything, the green beans and the potatoes and everything else. God bless you, and you've been great to us, and we love you.
And one thing, Dale didn't say, we during COVID stayed together. We didn't separate every week, and this truly got all of us through. We had Jan would make dinner, we would play euchre. I would make it the next week, and we would play euchre. And Jan and I lost. That's all I can say.
The first admission I've
But
heard
we
that.
won next
We
week.
did, but the last couple games we played,
We won.
we are in the front. They refuse to play again. So that's what it is. So,
That's way better.
love you, Jan.
Play you.
How about one more round of applause, please, for Judy and Dale? Very heartfelt sentiment. Olin just handed me a note, by the way. It says, Dale, thank you for your years of friendship. The comments about Ole Miss have ruined our friendship. It is over. That's what he just handed me. I don't know what that means, but you'll have to live with that.
No, that's actually good.
It's good for you? Okay. Oh, that's all right. Our next speakers are Mary and Fran Miller, longtime friends of Jan. Please give it up for Mary and Fran.
Just for those of you that don't know us,
I'm married.
I'm
this,
Fran.
this is Fran. His mother wanted a girl.
Don't go there.
We'll leave it at that. Jan, I don't know anybody that's more generous, kind, giving, and happy. When I think of you, I think of happy. And what I really think of is your contagious laugh. Let us hear it again. Come on, Jan.
Raise the decibel.
Jan has the best laugh. It's very unique, but we love it. I think of Jan and Olin as a team. I think of, I'm in charge of the greeters at church, and when I need a substitute greeter and I send out an email, I don't get one, I get two. They're a team. And as Dale said, I'll follow up with that, how Jan loves to cook. And I always thought she had just a pantry and refrigerator full of food, because the minute somebody was sick, you got a meal immediately. And but where does she come up with this stuff so quickly? She says, Olin goes to the grocery store, and she puts it together. But I think that you just have to have a hangnail, and Jan's at your door with a delicious meal.
Or rum cake.
Or rum cake at Christmas, right?
Secret weapon.
So, I think that you need to be crowned the top chef in all of Dunwoody, all of Brook Farm, all of Dunwoody Methodist. And to crown you, I'd like for you to come up. We have
I feel like
it's not
Van.
from Brown's Jewelers. It's not from Brown's Jewelers.
Browns?
Costco.
Costco, all right.
I have for you a chef's jacket.
Oh.
I have always wanted it. I'm sure
It may be a little long.
Well, everything's well, not everything.
It's probably on sale, and that's why Fran bought it.
I
Well, we're not done. We're not done.
got to have
Wow.
that. Oh, I have it. Yes, yes.
Where's your friend?
Oh, right.
We all appreciate the many meals we receive from you, and think you are the best. Happy birthday, Jan.
Thank you. Oh, my gosh.
There you go, where?
Oh,
What's cooking, good ladies?
To say this. I threw a party for Kathy when she turned 50, and there were 12 people there. 12. And tonight, there are, I believe, 36 people here. So she said to me, now this is interesting because this is my fault. She said, obviously, either Jan's 3 times as popular as I am, or Olin loves Jan 3 times more than you love me. Which is it? I fainted, and then luckily it got me out of the situation. But nonetheless, because you are so beloved, Olin had this special spot for Kathy to give her love to you. So please give it up for my wife, Kathy Ramsey.
First of all, before I talk about Jan, let me just say, Rick and I have been married, or together, 24 years.
Something like that.
I'm accustomed to being the butt of the joke. A wedding toast for our nieces and nephews, or whatever it may be. So he's making me look bad to make Olin look good. All right, so put that out of the way. Also, let me just say, I have no cards, because when Olin asked me to do this, I was like, I have to be organized, and my mind was exploding with what I wanted to encapsulate in my message. So I apologize, everyone else has been beautifully extemporaneous with their thoughts, and I cannot be. And I'm probably gonna get a little choked up, so just bear with me, okay? So let me start. Let me say thank you for inviting me to your event. Let me also say, I am Niece Kathy.
Niece
In case y'all who don't know me, you might have heard of me.
Kathy.
Niece Kathy, capital N. Thank you. And I am related to Jan by marriage, to my Uncle Olin. I was somewhere between the ages of 10 and 12, grades 4 and 6, when Uncle Olin brought Jan home to meet my family when we lived in Southern California. And I don't remember much about the visit, but they brought home skateboards to my sister and I, which was in the early 1970s or the mid 70s, sort of becoming very cool. And so Jeannie and I were like, oh my God, she is so awesome, this is so cool. Like they were so hip. And thank God none of us hurt ourselves jumping on those skateboards on the sidewalk. Yeah, so and we just thought Aunt Jan was the coolest, the neatest, the hippest. She was beautiful and blonde and so Californian. Since January of 1982, she's been a member of my family. And I was only 12 when they got married, and it was when I became a young adult that I got to develop a different relationship with Jan as two women. She became a mentor, a friend, and a trusted advisor. In the 35 years of our relationship, she has taught me to be a better friend, to share my life with my friends, to enjoy their company, to enjoy experiences and trips, and to support them when they're in crisis and need, showing up with a meal, a phone call, a hug, whatever it may be. She has taught me to be a better citizen by modeling volunteering in my community, participating in worthy organizations or causes, counting my blessings and remembering to pay it forward. She taught me to be a better host, to be welcoming and gracious, to provide comfortable accommodations with attention to details, and to be a thoughtful house guest. Bring a gift, be respectful of their house, their pets, and rules, and as my father would say, don't make a nuisance of yourself. And our boys recently spent a weekend with Evelyn and Jan, and I said, don't make a nuisance of yourself. She's taught me to be a better aunt. I have 3 adult nieces, nephew, and they have given me a generation of 5 great nephews and a great niece. I'm enjoying my adult relationship with these nieces and nephew and indulging their small children, which has been super fun. I hope to model for them how to be a good parent and a good aunt. When I was trying to develop my relationship with my niece Liz, who lost her mother when she was a young teenager, I often thought of what is Jan to me, what can I be for Liz? And I thank you for that.
Sweet.
And finally, she's taught me to be a better wife. I see the relationship Olin and Jan have, and that is something that Rick and I take in. To respect each other, to support each other, to sacrifice for each other, and going back to what Dale just said, such as season tickets to Ole Miss games and the travel it requires for the season, and to take care of Olin as I see you taking care of Jan. While Jan is technically my aunt, even my own mother would say, you were a second mother to me because I'm very like you and I wanted to be you. I wanted to be like you. My relationship with Jan is one of my most treasured relationships. Thank you, Jan, for being who you are, for being my mentor, for being my friend, for being my aunt, and for being my second mother. Thank you for being there for me. I wish you all the happiness, success, and good health in this next year and beyond. I love you so much. And I brought my wine so I can say cheers.
You're here.
Her mother used to say she should have been mine. And I would have loved it. And you are mine. So thank you for putting up with me. Thank God.
2 minutes is too
A
few.
big one.
You never get a word in anyway,
It was
right?
63. I'd like to announce latest news, breaking news, Ole Miss 63, Arkansas 31. And I'd also like to say, That's the third time we beat them in the last 30 years in Fayetteville.
Oh, and we all know you don't.
You know, before I have anything to say, I'd just like to apologize because before Stu started becoming irrational and making false statements and imagining things, he was a very sound man, but he appears to have lost it. But
No, he has a witness.
I would like to welcome everyone here. Thank you for coming. Thank all of our friends from outside the state that are here, from Stu's from Williamsburg and a couple from Miami we've known for years and years, and from Knoxville, Tennessee, and of course all of our local friends that are here. I appreciate you coming. Also like to thank the staff. Danielle is not in here, but Danielle and staff, you've done a great job. We appreciate it. I was going to say, I spent my life in sales, and thinking back, you know, I could take pride in a lot of the sales that I had, but I guess I have to put at the top of the list the sales job I put on Jan to get her to move from San Diego and all the suns and beaches to the city of Atlanta. It was quite a sales program. It lasted a while, but I got her back here and we enjoyed 43 years of marriage come January the 2nd. So I never thought she'd get to be 80.
Yeah,
But I never thought I'd get to be 87 either. So I would like to just say how grateful I am for having made that sale and having enjoyed all these years with my beautiful wife, whom I love very much. We've had a great life. We've been blessed greatly by the good Lord and by all of our friends and our friendships, and we're very appreciative of that. And I'd like to propose a toast to Jan, and here's to Jan on her 80th birthday. And if y'all don't mind, we'd like to sing happy birthday to her.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jan. Happy birthday to you. Would you like to say it again?
You gotta blow out your candle.
Oh, yeah, it would be mine.
Oh, she's trying to get the kettle out now.
And my wish has already come true because my very dearest, most favorite people are here. And thank you for a wonderful party, Owen. Owen planned this whole thing.
Jeez, I hate to hear that.
I know.
The pressure's on,
We're
right?
gonna have a high mark.
High bar.
It's often said that friends are the family you choose for yourself. And I've chosen very wisely. You're all the best. It's only the people that I love and cherish that are here. A couple of them couldn't be here, but they're still with us. And we love you all, and I thank you so much for coming.
Here, here.
Okay, the bar is open, and here's Rick.
That was wonderful, thank you. I'm sure the score of 63-31 had something to do with his remarks tonight. I just a couple of quick final comments. You know, in thinking of this party for Jan tonight and thinking of things that I wanted to express, I wanted to actually conduct a little bit of an experiment, which I did last night with some of Jan's closest friends. And I want you all to think to yourself this question: what if someone approached you and said, hey, I'm going to be meeting Jan Akers for the first time. Describe her for me. Who is she? What words would you say to describe her? Okay? So I thought about that, and I thought that would be an interesting experiment to run and see what people would have to say about that. Think to yourself, what words would you use to describe her? Well, one of the first words that popped into my head was humble. Jan is very humble. Actually, just ask her. She'll tell you, she's very humble. But nonetheless, I went to some of her very closest friends, and I took a little bit of a poll. So you'll maybe see that there's a little bit of a common theme here. This was not coordinated among everybody. So, for example, for Emily, described her as happy and energetic. Don't we all agree with that? That Jan is extremely happy and energetic. Stu described her as effervescent. Lovely word. And it's very nice. And he actually described her as Maria Van Trott. And at first I was like, what? What? And he said, takes care of others. I was like, oh, of course. Yeah, but nonetheless, she does take care of others. So Stu hit a home run with that one. So then I went to Dale and I said, what word or phrase would you use to describe Jan? I think you'll appreciate this one. He said, a chef's cook. And I thought, actually, that's a beautiful, beautiful compliment. And look, of course, at the president she got later tonight. Now I went to Judy and I couldn't shut her up. After 20 minutes, I was like, Judy, that's enough. I was just looking for like 2 or 3 words. But Judy said, among other things, a true loyal friend, and I actually underlined the word true twice because she kept coming back to that. I was like, Judy, I got it, all right? She said that you are generous and loving and objective and truthful and beautiful and a fabulous cook and thoughtful. How about that? All words I'm sure that all of us would have
Did
thought.
she say I had no filter?
No, she didn't say that.
She didn't say that.
Trust me, there's some other comments that are coming, Jan. Be wary. So Judy did a beautiful job of describing that. Now, so then I talked to Betty. Betty, one of her longtime closest friends, and I think we'd all agree with what Betty said, that she was vivacious.
Oh, that was my word.
That was
Stealing that? Okay. Betty really said it, but let Phil have it. Beautiful, energetic, kind, and with regard to Olin, the comment was, she sure puts up with a lot. I'm not going to say whether that was Betty or Phil. It was one of the two of them. I'm going to let you figure it out.
And it's all worth it.
That's right. Then I went to Cookie and Tony and I said, give me your thoughts about Jan. Now it sort of took a little bit of a turn that I wasn't expecting. And we can look at these comments. They're favorable, Jan. Trust me, they're favorable. The first one was overachiever. I don't know that that's really a compliment. Think about overachiever. She meant it in the good way, okay? She described you as fun. There you go. That's nice. She said that you're interesting. But then she clarified that. She said, no, she has lots of interests. Totally different, but I get it. And that you are game for whatever. You are game for whatever. Very good. Okay. So then I was the last one in this, so I quizzed myself and I wrote down notes for what I was thinking. And the first word that came to my mind, which someone earlier tonight had made reference to, was patient. Everyone in this room knows about Olin. You are patient. You are very patient, Jan. Then the second word that popped into my head was loyal. You're married to Olin. You're loyal. We know that, Jan. You're extremely loyal. And of course, warm, and these are my words now, warm and generous and loving and welcoming. I married into this family 23 years ago, 24 years ago, yes, whatever. And Jan, from the minute I first met you, you have been incredibly welcoming and loyal to me and loving to me, and I so appreciate that, because without your blessing, I would not have that lady there as my wife. If you had said, he's no good, I wouldn't be here tonight, so thank you, Jan. And the last thing that I'll say in this regard before we give our final toast to Jan is this. This is a little bit, it may sound a little bit harsh, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from on this. We all need a friend who, if we make a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we say to our friend, you need to meet me at X and bring a shovel, that's Jan Akers. She will meet you at 3 o'clock and she'll have a shovel and she won't ask any questions. That's the friend that you need. That's Jan Akers. Give her your support in 2024. Raise your glass. Give a cheer for Jan Akers. Toast to the best friend anybody in this room could ever have, the best wife, the best aunt that anyone could have. Jan, we love you dearly. To Jan, everybody.
We could not have this party without him.
No.
He is the best, and we love him. And the first time we met him, Owen's mother was still with us, and she thought he was the cat's pajamas. That's a direct quote. Thank you, Rick. Thank you all for coming. Safe journeys home, and stay and have a good time.
Bar's open.
Oh, and I have one more thing. Betty, who has been the dearest friend when we moved into to Brook Farm, Betty was the first person to ring my doorbell. The movers had just left, and Betty rang the doorbell and said, I have food for you. She has been the dearest friend, and she did all of these wonderful favors, and we want you all to take one home.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Betty.
Thank you.